All right. Hi, everybody. I'm just how you doing? I'm just in the process of had a big problem with this tank. It's the one I put the guppies in, but I was just overwhelmed with seed shrimp, so I've moved the shrimp out of there that are in there. I want to reset this tank, to completely take it out, scrub it, let it dry out, and potentially paint the back. But I don't know why. I've got a UGF box in there, and I could have sworn that I did them in such a way that I can get the UGF boxes out without moving the tank out, but I've just tried and I can't. So I'm going to need to empty a bit of the water out just to take the UGF box out, so bear with me. And I'm literally just going to, everything in it's going to get dumped. I'll take the tank out, completely dry it out, and you know, let it dry 4 or 5 days before even considering putting soil back in. I might even put a heat mat under it to generate some heat. Just a reptile heat mat. It's only a couple of buckets. They're only small tanks, 5 gallon, 5 UK gallon, 25 litres. But I will, once I've got the, in fact I should have sucked some of the soil out, shouldn't I? It don't matter. I will be sort of nipping outside and stuff as well. The water can go in the sink. I've got a sink just here. But yeah, I'm sort of home alone. Well, I'm not. My son's here, but my wife and, I mean, my daughter doesn't live with us anyway. Well, not that one. They're on holiday in Turkey until early hours of Thursday morning. Hi, James. Hi, Trouble. Hi, Sweet Acres. You okay? So I thought, well, rather than sit talking to myself, I might as well sit talking to a microphone. But there's only one more bucket in here, and I'll pull the tank out. What I did have, which I found interesting, was I've got float valves. I'll for my top-up system, and I'd taken out of here ages ago some flame moss and binned it. Well, not ages ago, probably about a week ago. Some flame moss and binned it, and there was actually some flame moss growing immersed around the float valve, which I thought was strange. So I've never known it to grow immersed. I know it pokes out of the water a little bit. And with my spent soils, with the soils that I class as spent, I just take them onto the garden. So if I lift that tank up, there's a foam board beneath it, and now I should be able to get my UGF box out, which is probably, I'm not going to reset this back up with the UGF box because they are a bit overkill for small tanks like this, unless I build some smaller ones. I suppose I could build some smaller ones, but that's what I was keen to do, get that UGF box out and check that no shrimp have gone down the look at the snails. Check that no shrimp have gone down it. I mean, I normally leave the pipe above water anyway, but check that no shrimp have gone down it. So the rest of the plan for this then, as I mentioned, I'm gonna completely take this tank out. I'll scrub it, paint the back black, and then completely leave it to dry for probably a week until it's completely dry. But I haven't had any problems with limpets in this tank at all. Seed shrimp, yes. The odd snail, which I don't mind, to be honest. I quite like the snails. They don't last long in a Neo-Caribbean tank anyway. But while I'm doing this then, just move a few things around. While I'm doing this, to keep you guys a little bit entertained, because I'm going to go out and wash stuff out in drains and stuff, but to keep you guys entertained, we'll feed the frogs. Let's move a few bits around. I haven't got a massive amount of room to move. But the frogs, they don't need feeding, but it wouldn't hurt to feed them. They're going to get fat, these frogs. They're forever being fed on camera. And if you can hear anything cracking in the background, like a whip crack, it's a gnat, like a fly zapper. And I keep it in the room just because I've got isopods, and you get fungus gnats in the isopod tubs. When you don't put the lid on properly, and you flick flies everywhere, and then you have to go around squashing them. They die anyway. They won't survive in here. So I'm just going to throw a few in the frogs next door, because I've tapped too many out for the just for the frogs that you guys are looking at. They're greedy. They'll eat forever. And they know it's food time as well. probably giving them way too many flies, but it's what went into the tub. I won't feed them now for 2 or 3 days. And one up there's spotted them down his cum. Got something stuck on his lip. Right, I'm just going to go and empty this this tub out, guys. So back in a sec. Right, that's that bit done. So next bit is to just remove the tank, I think. Well, what's everybody else up to today? Water changes, Sunday fish day. Relaxing, enjoying your tanks. Maybe. Hi, Marie. I think you're the only one here, Marie. Sundays seems to be a bit quiet, or Sunday daytime anyway. Seems to be a bit quiet, but I started the stream just because I was stripping the tank down. Only a small tank, 25 litre. And while I was sort of outside doing stuff and cleaning the UGF box out, I decided to put a camera on and just go live with it. And this was the tank that I did the video on about the seed shrimp. So the seed shrimp were under control, but I kept seeing explosions and I wasn't even feeding the tank. I weren't feeding the guppies, nothing, so I couldn't remember when I didn't label this tank. I couldn't remember when it was set up. So I thought, might as well just reset it. And the noise you can hear in the background is me emptying the soil out of it. But we have an empty but dirty tank. Now I've got to be a bit careful here because I've got so much stuff leaning on stuff that I've got to be careful not to knock things over. IGFK. So the flash that you just seen then is the typical night crew nightmare, as I call it. So the one tank, I'm just going to spray the others actually. The one tank has got I've got two lights over these, but they don't sort of cover both tanks. One sort of covers half, a full and a half, and the other one covers the other full and a half. One of them's a Nicro, so they're 3-foot lights, but realistically I need a 4-foot, or but it works well with the two lights because you get front and back light. But the Nicro, I think it's just the charge unit thing, the plug transformer thing. I think it's just that, but I'm not 100%. It was cheap. I got it cheap one year on Prime Day. So I got it cheap on Amazon Prime Day, and I think it was about £25, and it should have been £45. I can't remember, but it does the job. It grows plants. Well, it grows the plants I need it to in the terrariums. But yeah, grows the plants. He's got a bit of something on his nose, one at the front, and I can't, it's doing my head in. Sorry, he's going to get misted. Just to, the flies come out when you mist anyway. But I hand mist so I can target plants and stuff. But I'll give him a spray, and hopefully it washes his nose off. Just a bit of cocoa fibre, I think. Right, let's put that in there. Let's find a sponge. Let's put that in there. And I'm ready to clean. But yeah, this is the tank I've took out. This one here, and I've got 3 that sort of go front to back, and at the moment I've got like a board behind them to give them the black, but some of them I've painted. So this one's painted, this one isn't, and this one will now be painted, but that one's painted as well, so the back's painted black on those. And then I've gone for a blue on the lower tanks, but I've done a couple on the bottom. Haven't done the rest of them, and I'm out of that blue paint, so I need to order some more. But the plan is that tank will be reset and put in there today. These are breeding project tanks. So these are my deep blue bolts. Sorry, I know it's a bit blurred. Those are my deep blue bolts breeding project. And then this is my high grade galaxies. Let's see if I can get this one, my high grade galaxies, and there's 2 females. That's probably the lower of the 2. But there's a male boa. Somebody's molted in there, and I have seen babies. Sorry, I can't focus. And I have seen babies in there. So these guys, sorry, I know it's zoomed in. These guys, the orange-eyed blue tigers, are going to come up here into that tank, and then this tank is going to be for, I'm going to select a male and 2 female of the best out of them, and that's going to move up as well. And then I need to start doing something, so I'm going to give you guys a very quick look at, this video hasn't come out yet, but I did escape Friday and videoed it. I haven't finished it yet because I want it to grow in a bit more, but I'll give you a quick pass. And it's not finished. The rock on the wood is just there holding things down at the moment. Oh, it's warm in here. But it's humid in here too. I'll open the window. Don't want to turn the AC on because I'm trying to keep the room a bit warmer. I'm just trying to keep the room warmer, and Just remembered something. Have I got a jug? That'll do. I need to water a plant. I moved it before I set the camera up, and I've noticed that it's dry, like very dry, and it needs to not be very dry. And now it's very wet. I'm just going to mist my spiders behind you. So I normally do all my water changes on the weekend, but I haven't done them this weekend. So they won't hurt for a week or a few days. Oh, that spider's out. And there's I've got a tank in the living room that it normally gets overfed, but it hasn't this week. But I do want to do a video on that tank. I already know the title of the video. No, they have to eat live. So they can be a bit funny, and it depends on the size of the frogs. So the dendrobates, which tend to be a bit larger, they can take flies, pinhead crickets, bean weevils, which are harder to culture, and pea aphids, but all of them are alive. You have to culture them, and the easiest of the lot to culture are the fruit flies. So this is a new mix that I did yesterday, and I put loads of sort of starter flies in there just because I've got stacks of them. But what I've been getting is when you mix this mix at the bottom, I've been getting issues where this mix has been going mouldy and all the wood wall's been furry. So I've read up a load of things, and people were microwaving the wood to make sure it's sort of super bone dry, which I've been doing, but still getting mold. And then I bought a large culture because I was running low. So this pot here I bought off someone on eBay because my normal person wasn't available. So I bought that pot, and I noticed it smelled a bit of vinegar. And I never thought nothing of it, and it looked like it had died off. So I thought, oh, they've mixed it wrong. It's gone sour. It smells of vinegar. So I bought another 2 cultures, which is why I've got a glut, but smaller ones. And rather than get sort of a culture that's halfway through and a culture that's just been mixed, I bought 2 intermediate cultures. So I'm going to end up with flies that I just don't use. I was reading up that you can put a couple of drops of white wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar into the mix, and it stops it going mouldy. But you can also put cinnamon, so make your mix up, sprinkle some cinnamon powder over the top of the mix, and it stops it smelling as well. Didn't have any apple cider vinegar, didn't have any white wine vinegar, but I did have cinnamon powder. So that mix that I've just made is my first go with cinnamon powder. If Marie's still here, I want to try and show her something, because I know she likes the pods. They're not very good examples. It's hard to get a decent. There you go. No, so cinnamon usually. So you can put cinnamon in with your cinnamon sticks. You know, like the cinnamon bark. You can put cinnamon bark in with your shrimp, but there are 2 types of cinnamon. and one of them is poisonous to shrimp and probably isopods, and one of them isn't. So I'd suggest no. Now I do sell cinnamon. Let me see if I can find some. And it's a particular type of cinnamon, not the Chinese cinnamon. It has to be. I don't need to go near the smaller packs. It has to be what they call Ceylon, which is now Sri Lanka. So it has to be Sri Lanka cinnamon sticks, because Sri Lanka cinnamon sticks don't contain a toxin called curamine, and the other one does, but curamine is toxic to shrimp, and I'd imagine it's toxic to other inverts as well, but not the Ceylon one. The Sri Lanka cinnamon still has curamine, but it's in tiny doses. So I'd steer clear of cinnamon. You get used to the flies, Marie. They grow in a tub. They don't last long, but they grow in a tub. And if you get the smaller tubs, get a larger jug. Have to dust them with a powder. So you put like a quarter of a teaspoon of the powder in, or an eighth of a teaspoon of the powder in, and then you sort of tap the tub down. You tap down the tub, and all the flies go to the bottom. Keep tapping it. Take the lid off, and then in your bigger jug, you tap flies out, and then you just sort of tap it and sort of turn it backwards and tap it, so that all your flies in the tub you're tipping into won't come out, because they've got dust on that. Now they're in that tub, they've got dusty feet and they can't climb. So the other side, the other one, you just keep tapping that down, put the lid on. Simple. And to be honest, hi Craig, any that get out, they just die anyway. They've got such a short life. They'll crawl on the floor. I mean, it's different in here because it's sort of away from the house, but well, not away from the house, but it's not part of the house. Whereas if they fall on the floor, they just die. Like, you know what I mean? They'll sort of crawl around for a bit and die. I do see the odd one sort of crawling up the frames of things and that, and they just squash them. They're tiny. But I haven't got any black ones, but I don't know why. This time I've got all brown, but they're and it's the maggots as well. So these are the smaller tubs. I can't. Let me turn that round a minute. Put away. So that's the small tub, and that's the big tub, and I've still got flies in here, but I use the big tub so that when I'm tapping, so you sort of tap it down on a work surface, take the lid off, tap them in, and then you gradually sort of tip it back so that the flies that are on the edge will go in there, and the flies that are inside will drop back. And this is flat on the deck, and I mean I've got flies in there that won't climb out. They've got dusty feet, can't climb. So that's on the work surface. You're tipping the flies in, tapping them out, and then you keep tapping this down. Just put the lid on. I do lose. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do lose some, but it's rare. Let's give these guys these last few flies. Give them the dusty feet. I'm going to end up with two really overweight frogs on. I'm a feeder. One more. Come on, where are you? There you go. So there's a couple of little provisos. The dust that you use, well, the dust that I use, you have to change it. They tell you to keep it in the fridge, but I never have, and change it every 6 months, and I don't get through none. It's called Dendrocare, so it's just it's like a calcium and multivitamin. Because I'm not giving them any UV, we just supplement the calcium on every feed. That's all. Hi Dee. Hi Myers. Mr. Myers. Hi Rob. Just going through the so Rob and everyone that's arrived, I'd actually started the stream here, and I've apart from having boxes everywhere, I've spoke about it on Rob's live this morning. I was going to leave it, but me being me, I've actually removed the tank, and I'm going to scrub it out, dry it out, and scrub it out, dry it out, and paint the back and reset it. I think I'm going to have to go for take a big bag of the SL soil off the shelves. I've got one little bag and two big bags, and it's unusual for somebody to order two at once. Just try that for you a minute. Surprised they've run off, to be honest with you, because they normally don't care one iota. There you go. So yeah, tank out, reset on the way. I'm trying a little experiment. This will probably interest Rob more than, I don't know. Let's have a look. Had a burst water pipe. Oh, wow. That's not good. So yeah, what I'm doing an experiment with you get in reflection. I am in black, so you will get a reflection. So I'm doing an experiment with my can I bring that up higher? Yes. With my pure red line. Pretty much because if you can see on the soil there's a good algae growth. Now I had it here as well, but I've sort of siphoned it off. But what I'm doing with my my pure red line is I'm doing an experiment where I'm not going to feed them at all. And what I've noticed with them, yes, they've got loads of algae, but the juvenile growth rate has increased. Oh no, that's horrendous. This is why I sort of rave about home care and stuff. Is it home care, home cover? But yeah, not going to feed these. These haven't been fed for, I think I'm on my 3rd week. No feed at all, and the juveniles are growing at what I think is a quicker rate than they had been. I mean, it could be wrong. It could just be a growth spurt, but no issues. I lost the reason I started doing it because I had a couple of deaths. I had one. Paul, who watches the channel, came to pick up some stuff. And I said, yeah. And I said, I lose the odd one. I lost one in there yesterday. So I hate to tell you this. You've lost one in there today as well. And I thought, no way. I don't mind losing the odd one here and there. But when you sort of, I think it was the third one, when you sort of lose one, then lose another one, then lose another one, in a short space of time, it gets you worried. But checked everything. Everything was fine. Didn't go with my my normal emergency measures at all. So didn't put any carbon on or anything. And I thought, I'm not going to feed these and see what happens. And I've stopped feeding them, and I haven't lost any. And excuse me, just going to do something a minute. It's not what I want to do. I've knocked the chat off, guys, and I can't get it back on. How do I get my chat back on? Oh, there. Got it. So yeah, these guys haven't been, I say 3 weeks. It's about 3 weeks. And if Rainer's in here, because we don't get to see them very often. There's my little fat jumping spider. There she is. Or one of them. She's lovely, she is. So it's not just flies, it's spiders as well, yeah? Happy Sunday, Gunter. Spiders and flies. Well, the spiders eat the flies, that's the thing. When I get young jumping spiders, they get fed fruit flies anyway. Then move them up onto green bottles, and eventually, sorry, I'm smoking, vaping, and then eventually blue bottles. But I rarely feed blue bottles if they haven't been fed for a while. They'll get a green bottle, and then because they all eat green bottles at the stages they're at, and then if they still look a bit hungry, and you can tell by the abdomen, size of the abdomen, it shrinks and contracts. But if they're still looking a bit hungry, they'll get another one. Just trying to see if I can spot both my little bristle noses. I can see one of them, and he's looking healthier than when I got him. And the other one's on a piece of cottlebone. Yeah, well, I had a fear of spiders, but I really like the jumpers. And I got one, but if she gets out, I'm still putting a pot over her. And I would have her on, if she'd come on me and onto my hand and sort of wasn't as fast as she was, I think I'd handle them. But she's rapid. And I mean rapid. Probably does about 35 miles an hour.
Motion detected at the front door.
So that's my so daughter number 2 had been using our back room as storage, should we say, our spare room, and she's moving her stuff out today. So my wife wants to turn it into a spare bedroom so the grandkids can move over, but I've got other ideas. So in here I've currently got some slow moving stock and some of my packing materials. But I've got racking as well in the shed, so I could quite easily use a corner of that room for all my packing materials and get either more stock in the room, but more likely to be either more isopods or more what do you call them, more tanks. So the nice thing about the frogs is that they're not as heavy. Well, depends on how you build them, but they're potentially not as heavy as a tank full of water, even like a 45-50 litre. Oh, I'll answer that in a second, Gunter. And I really want a 90 centimetre terrarium for a species of dart frog that can live together in groups. So CO2 and Caridina. I know people that keep crystal shrimp in a CO2 setup, but this is how I've always used CO2 in my planted aquariums. I've never I do use an indicator, but it's more to see if there's a problem, the CO2 indicator. But what I've always done is before the lights come on in the morning, I test the pH, and what I'm looking for by the time the lights come on and my CO2 is injecting, if I set my CO2 to come on an hour before, I want to see a 4-point pH drop. So I want to see, if the tank's sitting at 6, by the time it's saturated with CO2, I want that to be at 5. So if that takes an hour or an hour and a half, that's when I'll switch, before the lights come on, that's when I'll switch my CO2 on. Now, the problem with Caridina, in my opinion, is that they don't do well with variation. They like stability. So if you're sitting at 6.5, and then every day you're going from 6.5 to 5.5 and back to 6.5 and back to 5.5, this is just my opinion. It's not facts. Don't take my word for that you can't do it, because you probably can. But I wouldn't want to give them that amount of pH swing every day, twice a day. So the night one's probably not so bad, because once the CO2 goes off, you're getting it's gradually changing the pH, which is probably okay. But if you I suppose you could leave it on all the time, but then it's not being used. Yeah, see, I used to go for a full pH, 1 point. So if my tank started the day at 6.5, I wanted to see it at 5.5, and then hike him and then hold 5.5 throughout the whole day until the lights went off. And when the lights went off would be when my CO2 went off, or just before, 30 minutes, 40 minutes before the lights went off. That's when I'd turn my CO2 off. I'd tie it all on timers. Just reading through the comments, guys. So yeah, personally, I wouldn't do it, but that's just me. I'm not saying you can't get it to work if you're not heavily injecting CO2. And when I tried it, I'd got heavily planted tanks. In the tank in the kitchen, the Iwagumi, the Dragonstone Iwagumi, I've got a low pH rise on that, because originally that plant was going to be for pure black line. That was the whole intention of that tank. I was going to have a tank that was an Iwagumi with black and white shrimp, and just have a low pH variance. Are you using an active soil in that tank? Yeah, I never had a pH. I didn't use a pH, an automated pH thing where you could get it to come on if the pH dropped below a certain point. I never used that. I literally tested and timed throughout the day until I sort of hit that sweet spot with mine. Mine was heavily planted. That's good. So I keep what I've noticed, especially with crystals, is that if so 5GH and 120, 130 ppm is fine. The mineralizers that I use, so at the moment I'm using SL Aqua Blue Wizard, this stuff, SL Aqua Blue Wizard liquid mineral. And I've found that if I mix to 120, 130, I'm only getting 4GH. Likewise with the other one that I was using, let's find a smaller one because it's easier, which is a Polish brand, Qualdrop. So this is I use the LC one, GH. This is GH plus one. It's more for tigers, but I use the LC one for my crystals. But what I found with them is if I mix into 150 TDS and I'm getting five, I am getting 5GH, I get better whites. I get much better whites in my shrimp, or shrimp with white in them. Yeah, that's good. I wish I could get it that low, to be honest. But I guarantee you, with both of those liquid minerals, if I mix my RO water, I'm getting H at 120. And I spoke to I was speaking to Calvin Wong, Singapore shrimp breeder, champion Singapore shrimp breeder, and he says he never tests GH. He literally, as long as his TDS, when he mixes, as long as his TDS is over 100, between 120 and 150, that's all he does. He just tests TDS. But I do test TDS when I'm mixing, but every now and then I'll test my RO units, which needs the pre-filters and carbon and stuff changing. Job for tomorrow, I think. But yeah, I found that I just can't get that low with 5GH. Might need to try a different mineral. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, yeah. And I even asked him about I said, you do anything particular with your whites? He went, no, 120. He's happy to go to 120. Hi, KJ, are you okay? So this moss here, if anyone's interested, I know those that watch know what it is. But this moss is Hookeration moss, and I need to tie the other one. I need to tie the other one down, and I tie up that 8 centimeter mesh. I tie them up, and you can probably just see in the middle here, it grows upwards, and what you get from it is, I mean, this is it's slow. It's a slow grower, and excuse the mess. I am trying to do stuff down here as well. But that's what you get. There's two in there, but those were 5 centimeter. And then in most of my tanks, not all of them, but in most of my tanks, I've got a little mini Anubias or a Boost of some description on a bit of rock or wood. I just, even though I'm shrimp, I love a planted tank. Absolutely love a planted tank. Let's move that back over, actually. So I'm really tempted to feed them for you guys, but I need to just bite my lip because I'm not feeding them. They're not getting fed. Wow, these frogs are getting fat. It's a nice moss, Gunter, Hookeraceae moss. I think it's a two-word name. I know it as hooker moss, but it's Hookeraceae moss, and it's one of the rarer mosses. But I've got loads of it. People say, "Oh, I can't grow it. I can't grow it." Put it in a shrimp tank and just bide your time, and it'll grow. It'll just grow. It grows. I think that big one down the bottom's 2 years. I think that's been going for. Those 2 5 centimetre, but they'll fill the tank. They're brilliant for baby shrimp, but it gets a bit tall, and then the bits of moss underneath it, if you don't trim it, I mean that isn't trimmed down there at all, but I'll show you what I mean. So you see on this piece, you see this strand here. I haven't tied it down properly, and there's a bit over the back that I haven't tied down. Eventually these will go like that, but it doesn't die, but it just goes a little bit brown underneath. I need to tidy that one up, so when I sell it, it looks nice. They're on the website. I've sold a few of them, but what I've got down there I could sell a shed load. It's just having time to tie them up and everything as well. And then not an accidental, but I've ended up with fish in the shrimp room, just endler guppies, just from a chain pet store in the UK. I've ended up with endlers, but I bought them as a tool to have a go at seed shrimp in tanks, and I've ended up doing them with their own little scape with my shrimp tank, or with my Neocaridina. So I've got a guy not far from me, about 40-minute drive, who he won't ship shrimp, sells a few to his local fish shop, but I get a good deal on some absolutely amazing fire red Neocaridina. Just looking at my isopods and my new additions, if I can find them. That's not them. I got some new millipedes. The pink dragons you can't really handle because they can secrete toxins. Is that them there? I can't remember where I've put them on the shelf. Is that them? Or is that high yellows? I think this is high yellows. No, I know what those are, rough Ori. What? Can't find my new millipedes. Ah, found them. I was looking for something without a label on it, and I've labelled them. And I found an escapee. Well, one of them's definitely molted. So never fancied millipedes, but they're all right. Show you these guys. They're I haven't got lights on in here above me, so you're not really getting the colour on this. But these are can't think of the name. Something siamensis, and they're like a really light brown. and they actually glow under UV light. But they're a true millipede. That they grow to about 6 centimeters. Keep an eye on that so it doesn't run away. I'll read your comment in a second, Gunter. Bear with me, I'm just going to put this millipede back. But yeah, the pink dragons, Thai pink dragons are, I believe, that when threatened, they can potentially secrete a small toxin that's cyanide based. Now they're not not in enough quantity to harm humans, I'm led to believe, but I don't want to give it a risk. I might ask my missus if she wants to rub one around a cup of tea. But not 100%. I don't fancy picking them up anyway, just in case. Gunter says, took all the measurements of the tank, temp 24. I'd knocked the temp down a little bit. 902 0kh. 902 kh0 TDS 121. CO2 drop checker green. pH 6.6 lights. 6.2. What shrimp are you looking to put in there? What particular? I know Caridina, but are you looking to put tigers in there? Because 6.6 is a little bit high for some of the more sensitive Caridina species. I mean, most of these are under 6, so these are at 5.5, 5.4. But my galaxies on a different substrate are they might be okay if it's just crystals. So they're hardier than people think, but I keep my crystals on. This is on environment soil, which gives a pH of 5.5. And then obviously if you're adding CO2 to that, you'd get a drop even more, which I'd worry about. But my most of mine, so I use 2 or 3 different soils. Most of them give around 5.5. SL Aqua gives about 5.7, but I do like it. I've had my best breeding successes on SL Aqua, and it's a very black soil. And then I use a soil called Blau Activa, which gives a higher pH, sort of 6.4, 6.5, and well, between 6 and 6.5. And I use that for some tiger species. And then I'll also use, so the tank that you saw me stripping down earlier, it's only a 25 litre, but what will get used in it is, I hate opening stock. I'm a nightmare for opening stock, but that's what I'll use. So that's Seachem have a brand called Aquasolan, and there's probably a good 1.5 litres in there, which is enough for what I want to do. I only want a thinnish layer, and I'll probably reset it after 6 to 12 months anyway. So I can sort of get away with a thin layer of substrate, and I mean you can see how much substrate I use just down here. So I literally use a grain. I might have a bit thicker towards the back, but most of my tanks I use a bit more if it's a smaller tank and I'm putting a base down and nothing else. But yeah, only a grain, you know. A grain's worth, even if that. So this tank's getting reset. I reused the soil, so there's a bit more than that. But the reason I only use a grain in the main is because I usually use a UGF box, so I don't need a substrate. That's SL Aqua, so that's a lot darker. But again, it's a grain, and that's a 25 litre tank. I've used a bit more in this tank. So this is going to be the tiger tank, and then a little bit more in these because I'm using double sponges. But the environment soil, even in a small tank, I use a thin layer. because environment soil buffer's heavy and it lasts ages. But it's the reason I use a few is because of the colour difference. Do you know something? I had some talking to Tropica soil. I had some orange eye blue tigers, never did well. Couldn't get them to breed on anything, and they dwindled sort of from 20 to, I think I ended up with 3 or 4 left. And I put them in a mixed tiger tank as an experiment. Hi, Mickey. I put them in a tank as an experiment, and literally within a week, I saw loads of orange-eyed blue babies. So I scooped as many out as I could. So they obviously did breed, but they were down to like 3 or 4. And the only place I could put them, and the only soil that I'd got open, was a bag of Tropica soil. So I put a layer of Tropica soil in, some moss, threw these remaining orange-eyed blues in, and they bred. And they did really well on Tropica, and it was giving me, I was getting a pH of 5.5 off my Tropica soil. I didn't test it at the beginning, so whether it sort of drops over time. I know the SL definitely does, because when you first set that up, it's about 6.4, and after you've cycled it, it's below 6, but it does get down to 5.7. I didn't test the Tropica soil at first, and then when I did test it, 5.5 pH, I was shocked, absolutely shocked, and they did really well on it. But I wanted to reset the tank, so I moved them onto some Aquasolum that was over a year old, that was still buffering. I was getting 5.7 out of it, but the shrimp I had on that weren't breeding, and I've moved my orange-eye blues onto it. Lost a good few of them, so I'm currently in the process of moving them back up onto a different soil. That's the plan with those. Oh dear, how's everyone? Are you guys, any of you guys in here? I'm looking for my vape. I'll put it down somewhere. Any of you guys in here gonna have a look at the auction that I'm having with Jeff on Tuesday evening? I don't know. I was pleased with. I was shocked that Tropica did as well as it did. I was really chuffed. Thanks, Mr. Myers. Yeah, it'll be fun. I could. So what I've done. I'm probably going to sell one lot of my fire reds. Maybe, don't know. Probably going to put one lot of my fire reds into the auction. I may do a lot of mixed Carradina if anyone wants to, but I've got. It's still half turn slow. My gimbal, but obviously I've got lots of plants that we've ordered in. So what I've been doing is mainly Boost Anubias, a couple of different crypts, and there's 2 different species of Valis, but they're mainly different. I think on the Booses I've got Sintang, Biblis, Thea Green, Thea Red, and the Anubias I've got Anubias Bonsai, Anubias and Anubias Mini, and then the crypts, which I haven't got loads of some of Rob's. I got them in for him, but the crypts are Undulatus, which is quite a tall mid ground or background plant, Cryptocorini Undulatus, and Cryptocorini lutea, and then the Valis is Valis spiralis red and Valis spiralis green. Say that with your false teeth in. But what I've been doing is I've been putting them into lots, and what I've done with the lots, I've tried to keep them to sort of, I'm doing them as groups of plants, and what I'm trying to do is like 4 or 5 plants and keep the starting bids to around £15, which is pretty much cost for me. So you might, you know, if no one else bids, you might get plants at cost. I'm going to simplify the postage. So postage is going to be £5, and if you have 2 lots, 3 lots, 4 lots, it's £5. Doesn't matter. And if it sort of goes, if it goes to the point where it's over 2 kilos shipping, it might change. But at the moment, it's going to be that. So most of them have got 4 or 5 different plants. There's not 1, 2 lot the same, but I may do a big lot as well. But what I'm worried about is I've already got 8 lots, and I'm probably only halfway through or a quarter of the way through my plants. If I sell 1 lot of shrimp as well, that's 9 lots. And I think that Jeff was talking about 10 minutes per lot or something. So just my stuff alone would be a minimum of 90 minutes, which I'll talk to Jeff about, because I think that might be a bit too high. Do we go to 5 minutes a lot or something? I'm not sure. A lot of lots, yeah, it is a lot of lots. And at least I'm not Lot's wife, and I definitely won't turn around, because I might turn into a pillar of salty shrimp. So I still can't find my vape, and I haven't been out of this room. Well, not since the start of the stream, when I was emptying buckets and bags of gravel and stuff. So where the blooming heck have I put that? How can you lose? Oh, found it. Just put it in a really precarious place. Oh no. Do you use the disposables, Mickey? I use what's called a squonk. I'm one of them people, if I want to do something, it sort of needs to pay for itself or be as economical as possible. Rob said it's because I'm tight, but I think it's just that I'm astute. And so I've got loads of vapes, tried different sorts, and I got to the point where I didn't want to be buying coils anymore. I do occasionally buy a disposable, but I didn't want to buy any coils. So I looked at drippers, where you build your own coils and you drip, which worked out cheaper. But I didn't like the idea of having to carry a bottle around and drip all the time. And then they invented something called a squonk. So this is my third one. So this is like a rubber bottle, and you fill this with your juice. You squeeze it, it pushes it up into your atomizer, where I've got my own built coils in here and cotton, and then you vape it. But I make my own juices. I make my own vape juice as well. One of my mates comes and he has a bit of juice off me once in a while, and it pays for mine pretty much, you know. So yeah, I'm one of those people, if I do something, it sort of needs to pay for itself. So get a shrimp hobby, set up a shrimp business, and various other things through my illustrious career. I'm not going to tell you about the time when I used to smoke herbal cigarettes, because that needed to pay for itself as well. And as you can see, I know how to grow plants. So yeah, I don't know whether to publish the lots or just put them up. I think the problem is if you publish them, I'll speak to Jeff. I think the problem is if I publish them, you might have some lots that nobody bids on, and then one lot that everybody bids on, which is fine. But I don't want you guys to end up paying more than you would if you went to the shop, if that makes sense. But I am literally starting these at cost. So it's more for see if I can see how it goes, really. You know, and if I only wipe my nose and break even, I only wipe my nose and break even. It's as simple as that. I I think a lot of these plants, I've seen a lot of these plants at like Aqua Essentials and stuff, between sort of £5 and £8, £9 each. Whereas I'm sort of averaging about £3.50 each. I think I've worked them out at. And the boosts are dearer. The boost, you know, as an example, the boost would be dearer than the Anubias. And then the Anubias would be dearer than the Crips. I think it's because they take longer to grow, so they charge you more for them trade. I don't think you can get the squonks anymore. It was a bit like a fashion, and then it sort of went out of fashion. But I bought 3 of these. They're made by Vandy Vape, and that's what it looks like inside. So the thing with the skull on's the battery, which you can take out, and then you just remove. So you can tell how old this is. Look at the top. But you take the bottle out, take the cap off, fill it up, and then when you squeeze that, it pushes up into a tube that goes through the top there into the atomizer. But I should quit it really. I'm asthmatic, and I've got loads of health problems, but I've got a rare disease called sarcoidosis. Hi Jeff. Got a rare disease called sarcoidosis, although I'm in remission from it at the moment. And what sarcoidosis is, it's your immune system. It's an autoimmune issue, and what it does is your immune system thinks it's under attack, so it tries to protect itself. And what it does is it starts to build cells around your lymph glands. Most of your lymph glands are down in your lungs and down in your chest. And the consequence of that is your lymph glands grow and swell up and crush your bronchial tubes and stuff like that. But the side effect for me was, I mean, mine was only lung. You can get it in your brain and everything, but mine was lung. But I ended up with asthma off the back of it. And when it first started, I would come home. We'd been on holiday camping, caravanning, and I was sitting on the caravan step trying to put my shoes on, and I just couldn't breathe. And we stopped, we quit, and we cut the holiday short, went home, went to the GP, and the GP says, he said, I'm going to give you a slip. I want you to go to the hospital and get an x-ray. I said, well, I've got to wait for an appointment. He said, no, go now. And when it was probably 1 o'clock, went to the hospital at 1 o'clock. By 3 o'clock, my GP had rang me and asked me to come to the surgery, and said that the x-ray showed that your chest is absolutely riddled with lumps, small lumps. So we've got you an appointment a week today with a lung specialist. And I went through all the stuff, and the lung specialist said, I don't think it's cancer. He says, we think it's something called sarcoidosis, but the only way we can prove sarcoidosis is to rule out other things. Yeah, really scary. I've never cried in front of my dad, and that's the only time I ever cried in front of my dad. And it was weird because I wasn't worried for me. I was worried about leaving my kids and my missus. I mean, it's 20 years ago. But I ended up going into hospital, and they wanted to take a lymph gland out, or a biopsy off a lymph gland. And the consultant said, what we'll do, he said, we'll open you up above your rib cage under your throat. He says, we'll go in with like a camera and a device to sort of take a lymph gland off, or a sample of a lymph gland, and then come out. I says, what do you mean? Open me up. And he says, well, we'll cut you. I said, I'm not a tin of beans. Open me up. And I get really funny on anesthetic, on general anesthetic. I wake up really violent. It's on my record. I've injured a porter or two along the way. But I, I was sort of lying there waiting to go to sleep, and I was just praying, if I'm honest. And just before I was about to go under, and they were to put the mask on, they says to, the anaesthetist says to me, or the surgeon, they explained what would happen, and he said, if you wake up and you've got a chest full of staples down the middle of your chest, don't panic. He said, because of where we're going, there's a lot of blood vessels there, so if we catch a blood vessel, we'll need to open you up like a book. He says we'll need to open you up to stop the bleed. So there's me like praying, everything's going to be fine, don't worry, trying to go under as calm as possible so that I woke up as calm as possible. And your man's just telling me that if I wake up and I've got a row of staples down the middle of me, don't worry, they've opened me up like a can of beans. So yeah, I'll let me just turn the camera a sec. So they left me a nice scar. If you guys can see that there. But what was weird off this, and this is why I've grown a beard, right? After I had this done, if I was clean shaven, here I've got like tan marks, so it's like tanned here dark, and then this is like a big massive white patch. And it's to do with here. It's to do with here. I think they've damaged nerves that control the melanin in my skin there. And oh, I've got an even better one. See that one across there? So that was plastic surgery, that one. But what they did do was they stitched it into my creases, like into my creases. But that was I had a sebaceous cyst that they fill with fats that you like, the oils. They get a blockage, and they fill with oils that your skin naturally produces, and they won't touch it. I mean, it was like an egg, but they won't take it out unless it's infected. So I was walking around with like a lump here, like the top of an egg. It wasn't red or anything, and then it got infected and it swelled up like a big abscess. So I've gone into A&E, and they said, "Oh, we won't drain that in here." And I says, "Well, I'll be back in about half an hour." He says, "What do you mean you'll be back in half an hour?" I says, "Because if you won't drain it," I was in so much pain with it. I said, "I'm going to go home, and I'm going to take a craft knife to it, and I'm going to cut it open myself, and I'll come back for you to stitch it up." So he said, "Come on, we'll do it." And he said, "I'm going to cut into it with a scalpel." I said, "You're not going to anaesthetize me?" And he says, "There's no point." He says, "Because the needle's going to hurt as much as the scalpel." He said, "And by the time I've done the needle, we'd have done the scalpel anyway." I went, "Yeah, go for it." So he's cut into it, and it was double. So there was like a double stack on it. Couldn't get it out at all. But I was then walking around with a patch on my head, and it was sort of weeping for ages. Eventually cleared up, but they booked me in to go and have it taken out. And this is the most horrifying thing ever. So I'm lying on the table. Plastic surgery. He's told me what he was going to do. It was a facelift, pretty much. And he said, "What we'll do," he said, "well," he drew like an eye shape on my forehead. He says, "We'll cut this skin out." He said, "We'll scrape the sebaceous cyst off, and then close you back up." Yeah, fine. So yeah, they've injected me, which is a bit uncomfortable and not nice. They're injecting into where bone is. And then they put this mask over my face that completely covered my eyes, and there was a hole where my head was, so I couldn't see anything. And I could hear them cutting, and then I could hear them scraping the skull, and then I could hear them cauterizing blood vessels. I could smell them cauterizing blood vessels. Got home, the anaesthetic wore off, and I tell you what, I don't think people realise how many nerve endings you've got here. I was in so much pain, but after it sort of started to heal, it was over the Christmas period, and when I went back, they'd sort of internally stitched it. There was a knot either end, but because it was Christmas, they booked, like before Christmas, they booked me in for the January, and when I went back, the skin had grown over the knot, so they had to cut me open again to take the stitches out. But for about 3 years, my forehead was completely numb. You could have put cigarettes out on it, but now I've got some feeling in it. So the nerves have grown back, but that's quite a while ago as well. Yeah, I've got one here, and I've got one here right in the corner of this tattoo. And these tattoos are when I was sort of 15, 16. But I want this cut out, because once that's healed fully, I can have this tattoo covered up. I can't have it done until that's gone. So I've got loads of them. I've been in the wars over the years. My best one to date, Rob always laughs at this. So you may or may not have noticed this on videos. I worked with a girl for 4 years without realising she had a prosthetic hand. Didn't know. And she mentioned it. I've gone, you what? And she's gone, yeah, it's been like it. You've never known me with anything other than that. But this girl had a prosthetic hand. 4 years worked with her. So hiya, Rainer. So absolutely mad. But I've got a nice one under here, and again, that's why I grow the beard. When I was a kid, in my high chair, my mum had given me some food in 70s in a glass plate, and I was rocking in the high chair, and I fell forward, and the glass plate smashed into my face. So I've got scars all inside my mouth, but I've got nice scars here. But the best one is that one. You may or may not have noticed it on my, when you saw me on lives, but that one, I say it doesn't affect me at all. But it's I can show you. And this was again as a child. I crawling around the living room playing with a little ping pong ball, and my dad at the time, I can't remember it. I can't remember any of this. At the time, we had, you remember the old electric, like log effect fires? And they've got fans, and they've got a fan, like a moulded top. And then there was a light bulb that turned the fan with the heat from the light bulb. Red light bulbs or orange light bulbs. One of the bulbs had gone. And this is only what I've been told. And my dad had took the bulb out, took the top of fire, took the bulb out, fire was on, gone to the hardware store to get a new bulb, and me playing with the ping pong ball, wet and sticky, young kid, the ping pong ball landed right in the cup of where the electric socket was, and I've grabbed it and electrocuted myself and burnt and melted all that. So this is all skin graft, and the thumb grew deformed because of the skin graft. There's no tendon in here at all, so I can't bend that at all. But I say it doesn't affect me, and I've had it for best part of 56 years. So, but yeah, loads. 13 years old, scrumping, grabbing, climbing in people's garden, nicking fruit off trees, climbing over fences, fell through a greenhouse. Fell through a greenhouse. I've got a cut from just above my knee, a big chunk out just below my knee of skin about like that. It's like a shiny disc. Probably, I mean, it's mostly hidden now, but you can see traces of it. The disc's still there, but I can actually show you the start and the finish of that cut. Open my leg up completely. Fell through a blooming greenhouse. Yeah, probably. I'm just reading that it would have taken Glenn 5 years to work out it was a bloke. Now I've worked with a few people like that. I used to work with someone called, I'm not going to say the name, but the name was like an extended version of a male name. And the Adam's apple. The Adam's apple was like a segment of orange. It's massive. But so as an example, and if Dean's here, apologies, but if the person's name was Dina, we used to say that person was Dean in a previous life. I can't. I'm trying to think of another example. So it wasn't a name. Wasn't a name that can be used for men and women like Ashley, but it was a name that you could extend and turn it into a female name. Yeah, because even grabbing the other bits, you're not certain they might have been removed. I mean, it's not an issue with me. You can see mine dangling. I'm tripping over them all the time. The older you get, the longer that gets. Oh, yeah. So, where do I start? So the GBee stuff is fish foods, tropical flakes, green sticky food tablets, catfish, mini catfish pellets for well, all catfish, but they're tiny, so they're good for cories. Spirulina granules, which are medium size, color flakes, well, then color granules, algae wafers. So this is just the GBee ones. Guppy mini granules, which are a slow sinker, and tropical flakes. API, white spot, Pimafix, Melafix, and then up here I've got different remineralizers and some best befores nearly done. Various different sort of shrimp traces and stuff. And then I don't know if you guys can see me here. Let's go this way. And then over here we've got shrimp syrup. So this is Ebi spirulina food. In fact, I need to take one of them off because someone's just ordered one this morning. Kabadi, so that's an Indian brand, Ebi spirulina pellets. Crystal clear water, algicide, black water, fulvo, so it's fulvic and humic acid, shrimp trace. And then moving down, we've got Vitalis shrimp foods alongside. So most of these are shrimp foods. So Vitalis shrimp foods, snail trap. Then we've got different quail drop foods. And then to the right of that, we've got Shrimps Forever foods. Things like Reptix, AquariClean. And then moving down, I mean, I won't go through all of them, but this is just one of the two racks. Moving down, we've got various different powders like magic powder, SL Aqua stuff, vitality bags. So that's like a tea bag that you drop in, produces biofilm. Z1 bioprotector. So this is good for planaria and hydra. So it comes in a little pot. Then we've got shrimp baby powder, various different bacters and additives. So immuno, rich one is a fulvo. I use that all the time. So there's biobacter, bionitro, mironocutum powder, shrimp bacter, montmonrolite. So these are two that I use regularly myself, bioenzyme and probiotic. So when I do a water change, I always put a top up of a bacterial powder in there. So at the moment I'm actually using this, although I need to get some more in, so I'm down to my last bag. So this is Shrimp Affair setup powder. So I'll do a water change, and when I do a water change, I put a tiny sprinkle or pinch in every tank just to boost the bacterial colonies. And then, so let's say that's a Saturday or a Sunday, and then on a Wednesday, one Wednesday I'll do bioenzyme, and the following Wednesday I'll do probiotics in each tank, and then just repeat that, enzyme next Wednesday, probiotics. I also use, but I've cut down on this a little bit because we're sort of out of springtime. I also use powdered shrimp foods. So I've got two types, newborn and juvenile. So it's sort of a powdered, I don't want to feed the tank. It's a one's a very fine powdered, high protein shrimp food, and they also create biofilm. Because they're so fine, it scatters everywhere, and the juveniles have got a better chance of survival. And then most of my tanks have got. So I also stock loads of botanicals, some wood and rock. I stock stuff like this. So pleco caves, shrimp tubes, 3, 4, 5, bigger sizes, different colours. So terracotta or grey, and then loads and loads of different botanicals. But I've got other ranges of foods as well and different things. Snail killer, hardness tests I sell, but I do need to start stocking some test kits, because I only really stock a basic test kit, which I think I'm out of, but it doesn't do nitrates, it just does the main 3. So, they even turned Michael white. Saw a meme this morning, and it was like a cartoon. 911, what's your emergency? And the response was smooth criminal. And then it says, has anybody been injured? There's blood on the carpet. You know, just little bits from Michael Jackson songs. It's quite funny. Reminds you of your ammo cabinet. That's upstairs. Oh, that's probably not a bad shout, you know. Post it on my Insta or something like that. But I'll show you. I'm going to try and move this over a bit. Let me move 80 litres of water in an instant. And I'll show you. I'll do something. Let's spin this camera. So this you guys often see with my. I do need to do a cull on it, but I just want to show you what the baby food does. So it's I'll get a heap spoon. So it's just a fine. I mean, this is a tiny spoon, and I don't normally do it heaped. I only did it heaped because so you guys could see the powder. But if I put my finger in there, the spoon's tiny. That's just my fingertip. But watch the activity, and everybody sort of gets a bit. So it hasn't gone in as powder; it's gone in as a lump. I should have tapped it really rather than just dropped it. But it'll float around and pick up the flow and disintegrate on the surface. But all the shrimp will start to notice there's something in the tank, and they'll start swimming around for it. But the other thing I do, if there's a lot of shrimp and I'm getting loads of aggression, let me find one that's open. You know, they're fighting over a pellet. There's too many shrimp. Instead of feeding one pellet, I'll feed these. So they're like little tiny mini pellets, and they're soft. This is, I'm sure I don't know if you, so these are Vitalis freshwater shrimp pellets, and they're soft. You can mold them into a ball. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this. Let me see if I can put some on the lid. But you can mold them into a ball, but they are just tiny little pellets. And instead of putting one pellet in, just put a few of them in. They will sink, and then shrimp will sort of pick them up and run off with them, type thing. Rather than fight. I mean, they might still fight, but you know, instead of 100 shrimp on one little 5mm pellet, you've got 3 or 4 shrimp on, you know, a 0.4 of a mil. It does, yeah. But they do go a bit mad. And I mean, ultimately, the worst case scenario, these are on double matting sponges here. So I've got a glass box here, and I can cycle soil in that if I want to. But just an uplift tube and a hole drilled in the glass with a rubber seal. So ultimately, that fine powder will find its way to the edge of the matting sponge, or to a double sponge, and they'll just graze on it. I've cut back on my feeding, Jeff. I was feeding sort of every other day, and I've gone down to once or twice a week, just to get them to have a bit of the get on the wall and have the algae. But look, limpets, bloody hate limpets. The blooming limpets there. But you can see that them particles when you zoom in. You can see them. Well, you can see them zoomed out. But that'll just be those particles, and eventually they'll settle somewhere, and they'll get fed. But I've got a little trick with limpets, although I've just fed the shrimp. So my trick with limpets is, and I normally do it on the front glass, my trick with limpets is to get the thin end of a soil spade and literally just go in and crush them. And the shrimp will eat them. But yeah, limpets, my pet hate. I'm not, depends on what type of snail. Bladder snail, not a chance, they're out. Ram's horn, they can stay. Keep them under control. Malaysian trumpets, out. I'll go through these. They're a bit more awkward on the side than the front, because on the front I can get a flat angle, but on the side I've got these runners. They do lift out. I could lift the lid off and get at them, but so I don't mind ram's horns. Don't mind ram's horns. Hate bladder snails. Malaysian trumpets, gotta go. Just breed like crazy, but I've got something that gets rid of most snails, although I haven't had much success with ram's horns, and that's these. I need to order some actually. So I believe, don't quote me, but I believe that 1 tablet per 25 litres. So if you've got a 10 gallon, it's 2 tablets. If you've got a 20 gallon, it's 4 tablets. And one of my customers, Ricky, he bought some. They're not cheap. They're around £20. I think you get 50 tablets, and that's what's gone in the plant tubs. So 2 of those have gone in every plant tub. So if there's any snails come, it reduces the risk of you guys getting snails. I can't guarantee that, but it reduces the risk. And how long can a marlin shrimp fly stay in salt water? No idea. No idea. I'm one of those people that have got Amanos, and when the larvae hatch, they just never get to salt water. So no idea. Don't know. But yeah, them pellets. I say Ricky had an infestation of Malaysian trumpet snails, MTS, and he bought the tablets, put 4 in his 20 gallon, and he showed me the glass on the night, and in the morning there was no snails on the glass at all, and it was over the moon. But you've got to be, you know, if you're doing that and you've got an infestation, you've got to be ready for an ammonia spike. Ah, I think so. So this is my understanding, because I've spoken to people who've tried to breed them, and you need to try and mimic their natural sort of ascent from larvae to salt water and back again into fresh water. So it's that, and the difficulty is, depending on where the amano come from, they'll only survive at certain salinities, from what I can gather. So you know, if it was collected from this stream on that ocean, this is the salinity. So this is what I've heard, and again, don't quote me on this. So I suppose the question is, if you can find the right salinity, once they get to salt water, how long do the larvae take to become baby shrimp before they then want to transition and swim back into fresh water? I guess it's quite a while. I guess it's quite a while. I guess that from larvae, I mean, you think about a normal shrimp, it's born whole, but it takes quite a while for it to get to the size where it would probably swim back up the stream or the river. So I'd guess quite a while. You know, it wouldn't be days, it would be. Let me see if I can remember the person that actually got them to survive for quite a while. What was her name? Oh, she's bought loads of stuff off me as well. What was her name? Can't remember her blooming name. Yeah, I imagine for the baby seahorses, you've got to look at avenue after avenue after avenue and do as best you can. I had an interesting morning. I absolutely stink of burnt vegetable oil at the moment. So my son loves cooking, so he's been doing the cooking while my wife's been away. I can cook. I don't mind cooking, but he absolutely loves it. And I buy some stuff from an online grocer called the Asian Cook Shop, mainly Indian stuff I buy. They've missed my MSG because we cook not just Indian, but my speciality is Indian and Jamaican, my speciality. But he put an order in anyway, some Chinese stuff, 5 spice, star anise, MSG, and he bought a carbon steel wok. And I said, you can't just use that. That's got to be seasoned. So this morning, I've got a few jobs to do. My wife, we need to set fire to this wok when my wife's not here and turn the smoke alarms off and stuff. But old pair of cotton underpants, some vegetable oil, and you boil water in the wok to take the manufacturer's coating off it for 5 minutes. And then you wash it with soap and water, and then you get it hot till the metal's starting to change colour. You put some oil on your cloth, and I opted for an old pair of cotton or polycotton underwear because they won't leave lint like a towel. And yeah, it was a gas stove, not an induction one. Yeah, and what you're trying to put down is a micro thin layer of oil, and then let the polymers in the oil. You let the liquid become a solid, and the polymer chains change, and then you put 3 or 4 coats on inside and out. So I've got this silver wok. I wish I'd have videoed it actually, but I've actually got this silver wok black, and it's literally just there's a word for it. It's polymerized. There's 5 coats of polymerized vegetable oil on this wok and put water in it now and tip it out. It beads off like. So yeah, I was quite chuffed with that. I went up. He was still in bed when I did it, and I wondered if he'd moan because I did it without him. But he's 20. He's 21 in March next year. Yeah, I went up and I've gone. You know your silver wok? He went, yeah. I went, it's black. He went, oh, you've done it. I says, yeah, you owe me a pair of underwear. So yeah, I'm quite chuffed with it, and I have got a Dutch pot, a Jamaican Dutch pot that you should season, but I'm not sure if you can do it the same because it's not cast. It's not a carbon steel or cast iron. It's cast aluminium. Burnt potatoes in it, and that colours it, yeah. So my Jamaican Dutch pot, that I did season it at the beginning, but I did it in the oven, so you get more of a uniform colour. But I don't think I had it hot enough because it polymerised as a yellow film, and then eventually sort of wore off. But knowing that I can do it this way now, I might have to lose another pair of underpants. They work well. I mean, they're burnt because you're getting it so hot that it sort of breaks down the fibres, but pour oil on so you've got not soaking, but like a film. So you're trying to put the thinnest film on, you're sort of polishing and buffing it out to get it black. But yeah, I'm well chuffed with it. So I need to cook some rice now so I can leave it in the fridge and make it day-old rice. Because once it's day-old rice, we can do proper egg fried rice. Proper egg fried rice. Can't do it with fresh rice. It has to be day-old. So there's something that happens to the rice as it must homogenise or something. I don't know. But yeah, if my missus buys some of this egg fried rice that you do in the microwave, you won't touch it. That's not egg fried rice. It's fake. It's not egg fried rice. So it won't have anything to do with it at all. But rice, we're coming up to 2 hours, guys, and I'm standing because this is the taller of, this is eye level, and my voice is going probably because I've vaped too much. And I'm going to wrap it up there, I think. But thank you ever so much for coming on. Breaks the day up, and I've only got him to speak to, and he games all night and sleeps all day. So I think my daughter's moved out, which is fantastic. I've got storage. See you guys Tuesday night at 9 p.m. UK time. Then, and Wednesday at 7 p.m. UK time for shrimping around. But those of you that have come on this have probably done all the shrimping around stuff anyway. But I might have moved stuff by then. So thanks, guys. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And speak to you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I need my medication alerts to go before I can hit the X. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.